The question I've been asked a lot since I started this is, why this van? Why did we choose Embassy RV over the countless other manufacturers that are out there? Why did we go with the Ford Transit chassis? Why a Class B? Today we're going to walk through exactly how we came to land on where we did and what mattered most to us and how we got there. And we're going to share that with you here today. Before we get started on the van talk, I want to talk to you a little bit about where we're shooting today. We're shooting from the Charles Young Buffalo Soldiers National Monument in Wilberforce, Ohio. It's a very small little park. It's essentially his estate, his property that he owned when he passed. But it commemorates a man that hardly anybody knows anything about, and you'll understand here very shortly why he's important. Maybe just get to know a little bit about him. He was the third African American to graduate from West Point. He was the leader of the Buffalo Soldiers. He saw action in the Spanish-American War, the Philippine-American War, and actually he was called back to service to help train black troops in World War I. But for the parks aspect, one of his missions, he was deployed to Sequoia National Park, and there he helped with the Army troops that were under his command, helped build some of that road network that goes through the park. And there's actually a tree out there named for Charles. But I think a couple of the really interesting things are, he was the first black superintendent of national parks, and when they medically retired him out of the Army, he wasn't ready to retire. So what the man did, he hopped on his horse here in Wilberforce, Ohio, and rode his horse all the way to Washington, D.C., which is almost 500 miles, to show that he still had the strength and the stamina and the ability to lead troops. Unfortunately, his call back to service in World War I wasn't long lasted. They realized that because of his time in rank and all that, they were going to have to promote him to general, brigadier general, and they didn't want to do that because then there would be white troops that he would be commanding, and back in those days, obviously, that wasn't allowed, or wasn't really something they allowed. But that's why we come to these places, to learn that history that's maybe not the most comfortable, but it's still part of who we are and what we do. So, if you like what I'm trying to do here on my channel, Ducky's Travel, please like and subscribe. It would really help me out. When we start talking about why we chose the van we did, there's first thing you have to kind of do is evaluate and take inventory of what features you're looking for, how you plan to use it. If you're going to use it for, you're going to be a weekend warrior, you're going to full-time in it, you're going to part-time in it, a week here, week there, month here, month there. If you're going to go to national parks, the size is a consideration. You'll see that there are a lot of size limitations to some of these national parks. So all those kind of factored into how and what we were looking for, as well as reliability and ease of service. And when you start looking at that, man, there are a ton of options. We kind of settled on, we knew we wanted a Class B because we wanted to go to those national parks. We wanted something under 25 feet. That way we could get in and out of not only national parks, but parking lots easier, and just overall easy to drive around, because driving these vans are not much different than driving a large SUV or driving some sedans. Some of them handle so well. But then we start looking at manufacturers, and there's where it starts getting a little foggy, because there are so many out there, and there are so many price points in the mid 100s to $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, and the build quality varies greatly from one to the other. You got Coachman, you got Thor, you got Winnebago, you've got Grand Designs, you've got the Storytellers. So you got all of these different manufacturers, and then you have, like I said, you have very varying degrees of quality. We went to RV shows, we went to manufacturers tours, we did all those things to try to figure out what fit best for us and what kind of checked all the boxes. And we went to the Tampa RV show. We spent a couple days there, and we went in and out of I don't know how many different fifth wheels, travel trailers, camper vans, Class A's, Class B's. That's kind of where we started to. That's a great starting point because you get to see everything. But what we quickly saw was that, and it still kind of rubs me, not the wrong way, but it just makes me question myself and what they're doing in the RV manufacturer world. These shows are supposed to be showcases, and you go into some of these rigs, and there's stuff broken, there's stuff loose, stuff missing. And I'm like, this is supposed to be your showcase. This is supposed to be where you show the best of the best. And then you have defects and missing items and broken items in these showpieces. And I get it that people are in and out all the time. There's hundreds and hundreds of people go through those rigs a day. But man, you still got to put on your best face, apparently. But apparently not, because that's kind of what the what I've seen in the industry. And I've seen some very high-end, top-of-the-line rigs that look like they were just thrown together and with no regard to quality or how long it will hold up. And those were all kind of factors of what led us to Embassy RV and to choose them as the builder for our camper van. Embassy RV is a little different. They didn't start off as a Class B manufacturer. They make a number of specialty vehicles. They make mobile kitchens for the Salvation Army. They make all kinds of different vehicles for a number of different uses. And their VP, Terry Menix, talked his bosses into starting down this Class B world, and that's part of their wheelhouse now. They do a lot of Class Bs. And a couple things unique about them. They don't have a black tank, so you got a dry flush toilet. So that was one thing that we went back and forth on, was the dry flush toilet. But we figured we'd give that a shot. They have no propane. They have 920 amp hours of lithium batteries in them, which when you start looking at other Class Bs, when you started getting up to that high of amp hours of batteries, the price just started to escalate very high. And that's a standard in the Embassy RVs, is those 920 amp hour lithium batteries. And there's no wood, and that's another big thing. They take a lot of their philosophy and even some of the equipment from the yachting industry, from the boating industry, and incorporate that into the Class B. So you won't find any wood. You won't find those off-gassings of the formaldehyde, of the treated wood, of the glues, and all of that in their van. So, and that kind of really played to us as well, because we've seen a lot of bands, and we've had travel trailers. We had a Forest River Wolf Pup. We got a Camp Bin 550 Ultra. teardrop right now, and that was, so we've been around campers for a while, and we know that water is the bane of every camper's existence. And if you can reduce the potential damage from the water, then that's great. So to do that, they don't have any wood. The build quality is excellent. It is far above a lot of what you see. There's, you go in some of them, the wood paneling is so thin you're afraid to touch it with your finger. Also, it's stapled on. Like I said, we went through those shows and everything was just falling apart. So the build quality was excellent as well. We went up to Elkhart, toured their factory, and that kind of sealed the deal for us on why we chose Embassy RV. The layout, they got a few layouts, SLS and SS. The SS has one bed on the driver's side, and then some cabinets on the passenger side. The S replaces those cabinets with another couch bed conversion, and the SL has a bed in the back. Hopefully I got those three correct. So they got essentially three layouts, but they'll build on all three platforms. They'll build on the Sprinter, they'll build on the Ford Transit, and they build on the Dodge ProMaster. So that kind of leaves us to the next decision. Which of those three platforms do you want them to build on? And it's kind of a chicken and egg scenario with us. Do we want the Ford Transit? Do we want the Sprinter? We kind of ruled out the Dodge ProMaster from the word go, and that is based on history with us. We've had some less than stellar experiences with the Stellantis products, and we weren't comfortable with going to that Ram ProMaster. From all I've read, though, they've fixed a lot of those programs or a lot of those problems, but we are still kind of uncomfortable going with that. So kind of for us, it left the Sprinter and the Transit as the choices. So you start looking at the Sprinter, and there's a lot of campers that are built on the Sprinter. It's got the four-wheel drive. You've seen the Rebel and the Storytellers that are, lifted a little bit, got those big knobby tires and are more off-roadish. But you also, in the same ilk, you look at the Airstreams and some of the Coachmen Gallerias that are very much street luxury. So you can go either way with that Sprinter as well. But when you start looking at the Sprinter, one, it's diesel. And right now the diesel costs are way exorbitant compared to the gasoline. With diesel, you got the DEF fluid that you have to put in as well. With the Sprinter, maintenance costs on a Sprinter are very high, even for routine maintenance. It's quite expensive compared to the Transit. And also, if you need some of that factory assistance or some dealer assistance, the dealer network is not as great as the Ford network in the United States. So, there's a Ford dealership around every corner, and here in Ohio, I've got 3 probably within 5 miles, 10 miles of my house. 1 or 2, I think 2 of them will work on Sprinters, but not all Ford dealerships are, Transits. Not all Ford dealerships are equipped or will work on Transits, but there are still a lot more Ford dealerships out there. The ability to get those parts and do that maintenance is I think a little bit greater. So there's a couple of those reasons why. The Ford Transit was cheaper to maintain. It was cheaper overall price. It was the network for maintaining and servicing is much greater than the Mercedes Sprinter. And, for us also, it was made in America. They make them here in Kansas, and that also played well with us as well. So it kind of checked all of our boxes. So when, if you look at all those boxes, we got the Ford Transit, Embassy RV Dolphin S is the Class B van that we settled on, and I'm for a Class B van. It's very moderately priced, and it's people's view of affordability vary greatly. So I'm not going to say it's affordable, but some of the Sprinter-based vans are $200-300. We've actually looked at somewhere $350. Very expensive, $350,000. And the Embassy RV totaled out with all the options that we had chose was about $165,000. I know that's a ridiculous amount of money when I say it out loud, because it's twice what I paid for my house when we bought our house new, but that was 25 years ago. This is kind of our retirement plan, is to, like I mentioned in the previous video, our retirement plan is kind of to, do as much as we can, travel as much as we can, see the country and share that with you. So it's an investment not only in our business, but also an investment in ourselves and how we want to spend the next chapter of our life. So that's where we're at on that. As I sit here in Charles Young National Monument, it's kind of an example of the type of travel and what we want to do is, go out, see the unseen, learn about our country, about our history, take in these small places, as well as those grandiose Yosemites and Sequoia National Park and Yellowstone as well. So the Embassy RV fit our lifestyle, fit our travel plan, fit the way we want to travel, and I think it's a great option for anybody out there searching for a Class B RV. Definitely check out Embassy RV. Give them a look. Terry Minnick's over there in Elkhart. He's a very, very good man. He likes to talk. He'll talk to you all day about his product, and we think he's got a good one here. There's no, they're not paying me to do anything. Obviously, they probably don't even know I'm doing this video. So, in closing, when you look at the way you want to travel, look at what you want to do, how you want to do it. Start thinking about the features that you want in your camper, and check it off. There's no one camper that's right for everybody. Even us, like I said, when we were talking about the dry flush toilet, that was a compromise that we had to make. So you got to figure out where you're willing to compromise, what you're willing to try, get out of your comfort zone a little bit, and see it do. So thank you for watching Ducky's Travel here today, and again, we encourage you to like and subscribe. We're going to be documenting over the next couple of videos the options that we chose. We'll be documenting the delivery day, as well as our first trip up to Indiana Dunes National Park and picking up that van. So we look forward to talking with you in the future, and have a great day.